Friday, December 21st, 2012, the day that a lot of people seem to think the Mayans predicted the world is going to end. If you're seeing this video, it means that it obviously has not yet. Let's go ahead and start with the news. First up, as usual, device update news. I'm going to run through these kind of quickly so that you can run away from the meteors that are falling from the sky. To start things off, the LG Optimus 3D and the HTC Droid Incredible both received ports of Pac-Man ROM this week. As a reminder, Pac-Man ROM being a ROM where they pulled together the best things from Paranoid Android, AOKP, and CyanogenMod into one place. If you want to know more about that, head on over to the forum thread to get the detailed install instructions, the good, the bad, and the ugly about it. The Motorola Droid RAZR received an unofficial port of CyanogenMod 10.1. Still to be considered an early alpha, there are some things that are not working correctly. The core essentials are fine, but things like camera, Bluetooth, HD codecs, hardware composer, Wi-Fi tethering, decently long list, but things that you may not use on a daily basis. If you have the RAZR and you are interested in trying this out, this is the original RAZR actually, so I might have to talk to my wife about it now. So either way, if you're interested, go ahead and check that one out. The Samsung Galaxy Note has received another unofficial port of CM 10.1. This is, like I said, not the first one out there, but Entropy 512 Andrew has moved away for the time being, and he's passed the reins on to XDA recognized contributor Kazmodo. Still very early in development, still a lot of things not working quite right, but it's in development. That's a good thing. We are moving forward. Also, XDA recognized developer Pawidp released an official version of CM 10.1 for the Samsung Galaxy S. There aren't any outstanding issues on the bug tracker for it, so it appears to be daily driver worthy, though you may again want to check the forum to see if there's anything specific or anything that hasn't been reported yet. And speaking of official CyanogenMod updates, thanks to XDA recognized developer ExplodeWild, there are now official nightlies available for the TF300T. That is CyanogenMod version 10.1 nightlies, by the way. And XDA forum member GlebGrid has been working on a pre-alpha version for the, and I'm going to pronounce this terribly because I always do, Huawei Adios X5. I probably ought to learn the name of that company at some point, so feel free to leave me a pronunciation guide in the description down below if you're not in the boiling lakes of lava or anything by now. This week we also saw official versions of CM 10.1 for the Nexus 7 and the Galaxy Tab 2 7-inch. These were done by XDA forum member Eek1080 and XDA recognized developer Noobanel. Seems like they're decently stable. They could be called daily driver. There are a few little quirks to them, so if you have either of these devices and you want CM 10.1 on them, definitely go running over to the forum and see what's up. I'm still running stock on my Nexus 7, so I may actually run over there and take a look myself. And that was really the big news in terms of updates. Moving on to other stuff. I mentioned the TF300T earlier, that it got a CM 10.1 port. Well, something else happened with it this week. There have been bunches of stories over the last years and years about running Ubuntu or Debian or whatever Debian-based distro you like on your Android device, mostly Android tablets, but Android device in general. What you don't normally see are other distros being listed. Well, XDA forum member CB22 has released a method for installing ArchLinux on your TF300T. He's got it set up in a dual boot with Android, so you don't actually have to get rid of Android, and you don't have to do it inside of Android, which is really a unique way of doing it, and a way that I haven't seen done yet, actually. I know it has been done, I just haven't done it. And the big things that are not working from the Linux side are Bluetooth, two-finger scrolling, and rebooting from Linux. So I guess you kind of have to hit the power button or shut it down maybe and then bring it back up. One way or another, if you have not tried out ArchLinux and you're an Android user and you've got the TF300T, it might be worth looking into this. If you're a PC user and you haven't tried out ArchLinux, it might also be worth taking a look at. I've got some old videos on my personal channel that you might want to take a look at for instructions, a review, and all sorts of stuff like that. My channel can be found down at the bottom of the video description. You can get all sorts of old information on it. It has updated since then, and I just haven't been bothered to release a new one. The world's ending, why should I bother, right? Now, speaking of putting things on Android devices that aren't really intended to be on there by default, this story was one I found kind of entertaining. The story mentions something called Mini Vmac, which is not something that I'd actually heard of before. But essentially, it's an emulator that allows you to run ridiculously old versions of the Macintosh OS on whatever, emulated. Well, someone who was not named in the portal post has created a version for Android of that emulator. And XDA Senior member PhotaxX has put a thread out there with a method for how to actually get this running on your Android device. So if you're interested in running a ridiculously old, outdated version of macOS on your Android device, and by ridiculously old I mean older than old and then some. This might be a good way to do it. If you've got some extraordinarily old Mac software that you've just been dying to run and for some reason you want to run it on your 4-inch phone or on your 7-inch or 10-inch tablet, you can do that. Honestly, I think a lot of that's going to be just the cool factor or the nerd factor. That's where most of this comes in. So do, by all means, go read the forum thread and see if this is something you're interested in trying out. And the last bit of news that I wanted to talk about, something that I didn't get a chance to talk about last week simply because the story didn't come out until after I had already posted the video. A big ol' fat security hole was found in Exynos, specifically in the Exynos 4, which, as you probably remember, can be found in certain versions of the Samsung Galaxy S3, and actually found in certain ones of the Galaxy S2, if I remember correctly. And looking at the second article, the Galaxy Note 2, the Meizu MX, Galaxy S3, and the Galaxy S2, among many others. Now this particular bug is dealing with the camera, and it has to do with root escalation permissions, and that's great because you know you can get root on your device very easily, but that also means that any app from the Play Store can implement this, and if you're running this particular type of Exynos device, you can be taken over, rooted, and made to do whatever they want you to do. Well, luckily the XDA developers are on the scene. Apps have been released by Chainfire, Super Curio, and I think the other one was Ryan Z. I didn't see the name in either one of the posts, and they were released very, very quickly. Chainfire is the one I think who has been really updating his over and over again to get the latest and greatest stuff, and he has been touting his on Twitter, saying that it is the better option, so it might be worth taking a look at his and Super Curio and Ryan's, and just to see which one suits you the best. Chainfire's is the one that will allow you to root your device and will also protect you from the exploit, and as he puts it, it protects you at an earlier level of the boot process, so might be worth taking a look at his just to see what it does and see if it will work out for you if you have the Exynos device that is affected. Now the downside of this, if I remember correctly from everything that I've read, and this has been earlier this morning that I read about it, fixing this particular exploit, at least at this current time, breaks your camera. But to keep you safe from potential malware, this might be worth taking a look at. One way or another, read up on the forum thread. There's lots and lots of posts out there, lots of information out there, just to get familiar with it if you have a device that has Exynos, and if you just want to know more about it in general, read the forum threads as well. And to wrap things up, as usual, let's show you what happened on XDA TV this week. Aside from my Monday recap video, there were 3 other videos posted this week. XDA recognized developer, news writer, and senior moderator jerdog got delivered a Sony Xperia S, and he did his unboxing of it. What's more, he also showed you how to root it on camera, so definitely take a look at that video if you have the Xperia S and you're interested in rooting it. If you haven't seen it already, I put out another video on Wednesday talking about the top XDA stories of 2012. These are the ones that got the most views on the site, the most views on YouTube, and the ones that were selected by you guys in the forum. And finally, TK put out an app review showing you how to control your computer with your Android device using it as a mouse and a keyboard. The app he's talking about there is called WiFi Mouse, and if you have not seen an app for WiFi Mouse at this point, you probably missed something, but one way or another, definitely go watch his video to see him interacting with his PC with his phone. Not sure if I'm going to be controlling my computer from my phone or tablet anytime soon, but that's neither here nor there. As always, if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button down below and hit the subscribe button, which I've been told is also down below now as well, to be notified when we put out new content. Assuming that we live through the day and there is more content to be seen. As always though, thank you so much for watching, thank you for putting up with me, and I will see you on Monday.